Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be reviewing the amazing Yamaguchi Chun-Li from Street Fighter 6. Now this is the first Street Fighter Amazing Yamaguchi figure, and it has been delayed massively. I believe this one was originally scheduled around April or May. It only just released in September, and subsequently every other Amazing Yamaguchi figure from Street Fighter has been delayed. Not really sure on the reasons why, whether it was a quality control thing, whether it was a licensing thing, but the Chun-Li got delayed till right around now, the Juri got delayed, the Luke got delayed, and the Ryu got delayed. So it's kind of weird. They're all sort of indefinite release dates now, but I assume that they will sort of be doing like monthly or bi-monthly sort of releases now, but it is just a whole awkward spot. And if it was for QC, it's actually really interesting because I don't think that they solved everything here. So we will be going through it all, and we might as well start by opening up the box. So here's what Chun-Li comes with, and it's a pretty good loadout of accessories. Usually Revoltech and Amazing Yamaguchi are pretty good in that regard. So we've got the figure itself. There are 5 faces, 4 are for Chun-Li and 1 is for Juri. So there is a sort of like figurine DLC type thing because they sort of expect you to pair off figures with each other. You also get 2 alternate sort of skirt pieces, as well as the multi-kick effect part, as well as a bunch of different hands. There is also a pre-order bonus for Chun-Li, which is the puffed out cheeks, which is sort of to imitate one of the alternate faces that you can put up during the Versus load screen, and it's a cute little accessory, not super necessary, but I wanted to get it anyway. So it's a pretty good loadout, all things considered. Have just about everything you need. Not all of her hands are paired though. It would have been nice to have a piece hand on the other side as well, but you know, it's fine. But in general, pretty good loadout. But we're talking about the figure itself, and as this is a Yamaguchi figure, there are some design liberties taken. So out of the box, here's what Chun-Li looks like, and generally looks pretty okay. Proportionally, she's sort of all over the place though. So her head is quite small, which is fine. Torso is like quite slim as well. Arms are very long and hands are very like large and splayed out. Again, Street Fighter style as well is a little exaggerated too, but Street Fighter 6 Chun-Li is a little bit different to how we've seen her before. And then her lower torso, her legs have always been gigantic. That is a Street Fighter thing. It's always been the case, but these are way bigger than even in-game. And it is a little bit weird. In action poses, it's perfectly fine, but in static poses, Amazing Yamaguchi figures look weird anyway. And so in a static pose like this, it's even more noticeable how massive her thighs are. In general though, the aesthetic is quite good, all the paintwork is pretty good. I will say some of the gold trim does actually chip off during posing, so it might not have been applied or sealed correctly. It is a little bit unfortunate. We will do a quick size comparison. So here she is next to the SH Figuarts Chun-Li. This is the outfit to re-release / repaint version, and you can sort of see how proportionally the SHF is a little bit more uniform, whereas the Amazing Yamaguchi is a bit more exaggerated. And like, they're all different styles anyway, but it is just something to note. And here is the SH Figuarts Ryu outfit too. Now normally I would, compare the Jada toys as well, but I sold my Jada toys Chun-Li, so I don't really have that for comparison, so we're not going to really bother. But we will go right into what makes Yamaguchi figures so special, the posability. So there's a ball joint in the head and neck, allowing for a really good range of motion looking up and down. You can pivot all the way around. The tassels on her buns can move just a little bit, so kind of helps with action poses. Her shoulder parts are floating, a little bit awkward to deal with poses because the ball joint is very visible. She can rotate her arm all the way around. There is a bit of a butterfly, not a lot. There's an upper arm swivel, bend at the elbow. You can also swivel it at that ball joint too, as well as a hinge at the wrist. The bracelets can also move too. There's a ball joint in the chest, which allows for a decent amount of movement. The skirt is connected sort of like a clamshell on either side, so you can sort of see how this whole engineering works. It is very awkward to pose her with the skirt on. It will pop off all the time. Her legs can kick forward and back that far. there is an upper thigh swivel. Unfortunately, this is where the QC comes in, and pretty much every copy I've heard of has got a really tight thigh swivel, and one of the legs just does not move. And you need to use hot water and things like that to fix it up. And I haven't done that yet. I've tried the silicone grease method, and that has helped with the left leg, but the right leg is locked in place, so I need to use the hot water method to loosen that up or pop it off. But if this is the case with pretty much every single Chun-Li, that sucks. Because I'm used to some amazing Yamaguchi and revoltech QC issues, but usually that's a one-off just with my copy. But if this is a prevalent issue with all of the copies, and this figure was delayed 4 months for assuming QC, it's kind of inexcusable that we have QC issues across the board. And that really sucks, especially with a figure that is very leg focused and the QC problem is in her legs. So not a huge fan of that. That being said, there is still pretty good motion even with the locked joint. You can still pivot around with the ball joint, not the actual thigh swivel. There's a good bend at the knees and good pivot and rotation and bend at the ankles and toes, as well as that lower calf swivel. But it is really sucky that it even has any QC issues to begin with. Now for faces, we've got this sort of neutral face out of the box, which looks quite nice. We've got this teeth clenched looking to the side face. We've got this happy smiling face, which looks a little bit weird and uncanny. I'm not really sure about it too much. And then we've got this shouting face, which I think is actually awful. It doesn't look like her at all. The expression is like that dull surprise, and it's not really an actiony face at all. I know what they were going for. It does not work, at least in my opinion. It just, yeah, I'm not a fan of it at all. I would have preferred no face for this case, or just something else entirely. Then for the pre-order bonus, the puffed out cheek face looking to the side looks very nice. Because the faces are quite small, it is a little bit hard to tell the subtlety differences between some of them at a distance and things like that, especially the neutral and smiling faces. But up close, it is noticeable enough. And they do read enough like Chun-Li, except for that shouting face. And then we also get an eyes closed, mouth open face for Juri. This is meant to be like being attacked, like a reaction face. And I believe Chun-Li will have I believe Juri will have a Chun-Li face that is imitating the same sort of thing, similar with Ryu and Luke. And with those faces and accessories and posability, you can get Chun-Li into some pretty good poses. It is a little bit awkward, again, without the thigh swivel. But even with the restricted movement, you can get Chun-Li into some pretty good poses. Again, she is very leg focused, so it is a little bit difficult without the thigh swivel, but the general range of motion that an amazing Yamaguchi figure has is more than enough for most poses. It's just a little bit difficult for very high kicks, and a little bit difficult if you're doing like the spinning bird kick, but you can do like her multi-hit kick attack pretty much just fine. The accessory for that is a little bit interesting as like this sort of transparent full leg thing. It comes in 2 different parts with a connector joint between it. You basically sort of like wrap it around the leg and sort of rest it. It's a little bit weird. I don't think I got the hang of it too well, but I think I got it okay enough. I do like that it is sort of more 3-dimensional, so it's not just like 3 multi-leg hits in just like a straight plane, like single plane of depth. Whereas this one, it sort of like kicks in sort of cardinal directions, but sort of like one's going a little bit more backwards, one's going a little bit more forwards. So it creates like an actual sense of depth and makes it seem a little bit more interesting. That being said, there is more weight to it because of that, so it's a little bit difficult to get things going. Thankfully, the included base is more than enough to handle the figure. The swappable skirt pieces are also really cool. You can mix and match them depending on how dynamic you want your Chun-Li to pose. Again, they are quite loose, so it is a little bit difficult to get the sweet spot for it. I feel like the best way to do it is to pose the figure, then attach the dress parts. That does limit the posability just a tiny bit, because like you might pose it in a super dynamic thing, then you put on the dress, but you can't actually achieve the ab crunch or anything to the degree that you wanted it. So it takes some playing around to get it working just fine, but I think it's well worth it. I was able to get Chun-Li into basically any pose that I wanted. I think that the thigh swivel would have helped a bit, but That being said, it was still really cool that I could get her into deep crouches, I could get her sitting down, high kicks, and everything like that without too much difficulty. There were just small little things that bothered me here and there, like the floating arm pieces just becoming a little bit annoying to deal with because you had to reposition them all the time, the skirt falling off all the time, restricted thigh just because of weird QC. It just sort of all compounds a little bit to not make this as stellar of a release as I wanted. I do hope that the line going forward is much better, so the Juri, Ryu, and Luke, I hope they are all good. I hope that Amazing Yamaguchi also do keep going with this line. Granted, they probably can't do every single Street Fighter character because they're doing so much stuff already, but I think it would be nice to pick and choose a few like more interesting characters that could have a lot more sort of crazy dynamic motion to them, like Kimberly Amazing Yamaguchi would be really cool, and Aki would be interesting just to see how they handle that posability. Even Crimson Viper, seeing as she just got like fully revealed and kind of released. I'm not quite sure at the time of recording, we shall see. But yeah, there's a lot going on, and I think that the line is worth continuing, but I do think it's worth continuing assuming that it improves from here. Not to say that this is a bad figure, but it does have problems, and that should be known going into it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time. Oh hi, I didn't see you there. As you can see, I'm hard at work making new videos for the channel. Now, while I'm happy with where the channel is right now, I could use your help. By liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel, it helps out the YouTube algorithm and recommends my channel to more people. So if you like any of my videos, please let me know, it really helps out. And if you liked this one, please let me know too. It means a lot to me, and I really appreciate all of you guys.